dog is snoring.
It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host with his opinions from left field, Sir John Riley, and we welcome you to our show. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they've got materials, looking for ideas vis-a-vis Christmas gifts. Think DIXIELINE Lumber. Go to DIXIELINE.com. Find out about the DIXIELINE cards. John, awful lot of stuff to talk about. If we weren't just excited about the big weekend, championship weekend in college football, if we weren't amped about all things NFL on Sunday, we got the winter baseball meeting starting too. Man, there's a lot to cover.
I'm looking forward to Ohio State, Indiana. That's going to be a hell of a game, Lee.
And we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Listen, we do sports talk the way it should be done. We put a ton of topics on the table. When we're done, we open it up to you for your opinions. We call this thing Fans Forum. We have a lot of new people to join us on the live stream. It's your invitation, gold-plated, to join us here on the podcast by jumping into the chat box. John, how do they do it?
Okay, so Retro has already jumped on board. Hey, if you got a comment or question in the world of sports, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and we'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum off and running. Let's go. We got a lot to cover here on this program in the first half of the show. Let's start with the winter baseball meetings. It'll commence on Friday in Orlando and run into next week. There are an absolute wild number of rumors out there. And, John, we start with Team 1.
Team 1, the Padres, open for business.
Help wanted pitching. That sign is out. These are the storylines at this hour from people that I kind of canvass with. The Padres are willing to do something unique and something very different in free agency if they can get the other guy and the agent of the other guy to agree. The agent is Scott Boras, and the pitcher is Tatsuya Imai, the Japanese right-hander, Cebu Lions, 27 years of age, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, 1.94 ERA. The Padres are willing to pay, I was told, the going rate to get him to sign. But the Padres want to give him a shorter-term contract. I was told 3 years, maybe as much as $33 to $35 million on a 3-year deal to see if he can pitch at this level. And then it would give him the window to jump back into free agency at the age of 31. That's item 1. Item 2, and again, A.J. Preller talks to everybody. I don't know how he would ever execute this unless there were other teams involved. The Padres are talking to the Washington Nationals about what it would take, 1 team, 2 teams, triangular deal to get Mackenzie Gore. Washington does not want to re-sign him. He's got 2 years left on his contract, though very affordable, but his career numbers are not dominant. He's 26-41 with a 4.51 ERA. But the Padres don't have much in the farm system to trade. There's not much off the major league roster I think they could move. So maybe there has to be a third team in a triangle deal to make that happen. I've been told the Padres are shopping Jake Cronenworth to see if they could get a back-of-the-rotation starter. They're shopping Luis Campusano, who hasn't really proven very much at the major league level, to see if there's a 4th or 5th starter that they might be able to get from him. So, John, I'd never put anything beyond A.J. Preller's doing. Could he convince Scott Boras to go 3 years, state-of-the-art money, and let your guy be a free agent again? Or is this strictly going to be the biggest bidder gets Imai from Japan? What do you think?
Well, it's Boras. So he's going to get the most money he can. But, you know, it's interesting because it's interesting that you're saying 3 years, $33 to $35 million as a test drive. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, how expensive this talent has gotten. But he's not a big guy, Imai. He's like, it was like 5'10",
154 pounds. Throws the crap out of the ball.
But
He's
still,
got 3 pitches.
There's just no way. That's like, he's not going to survive, 3 years of a rugged Major League Baseball season. I mean, he's going to blow up. How I remember Billy Wagner wasn't very big. I mean, but Billy Wagner was bigger than him. I mean, right?
He was strong.
Yeah. So, 154 pounds. I mean, how strong are you?
Well, there have been other Japanese pitchers who've come here at 160 pounds. Again, you get them into a different weight training program, you can probably build them. But that's the rationale I was told at 5'10", 154 pounds, and use the word test drive. Maybe that's the realistic one, just to see where this guy is at this point. You think they have a kick at the can at Imai, or do you think the Mackenzie Gore thing is more realistic, or they're just going to move Cronenworth, move Campusano, and see if they can get somebody else's 4th and 5th starter and plug it in?
Yeah, Preller's we're going to work all angles, Which do I prefer? I mean, you can make arguments either way. I mean, Cronenworth, there are times I wish he would trade him. Other times, Cronenworth's salary looks like a pretty good value for the team, and his versatility and leadership is great. Campusano, I don't know if you're going to get much in a trade for him, but in the end, I think Preller is going to cook up a deal. He does the 3-way deals all the time. So let's find out. But it's surprising that, they're willing to shell out like 30, 35 million for a pitcher. But we only assumed they had about 30 or 40 million to like in their budget, right? So are they going to blow their wad on one guy?
Well, 35 million over 3 years, and there might be some deferrals in there.
That's right.
So based on the computations I've done, I think they have 35 million budget space to use. So if you're going to spend 11 million, with some of it maybe deferred, it becomes an economical acquisition. Imai's going to get his money at the end of the day, not all of it this year or in the 3 years that he's in San Diego, if he elects to come here. But then again, as you so pointedly have said, that's a Boris guy, and Boris's guys are all about top dollar.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bidding war, just like the Roki Sasaki thing. So we'll see where he lands, but I'm happy that Preller's working it, and we'll see if he can cash in.
Padre fans, feel free. You think a 5'10", 154-pound guy can hold up in the rotation? Padre fans, what do you expect A.J. Preller to do? The fans forum chat box is open. First guy in is going to be the first guy that's going to get on the air. Let's go from that. Team 2 that we always talk about.
The L.A. Dodgers shopping at Neiman Marcus.
Some guys shop at Dollar General. We've talked about that. And the Padres, they go to Neiman Marcus.
The Dodgers.
Dodgers. They go to Neiman Marcus now that Nordstrom's is no longer in business here. Dodgers have met with Scott Boras, and they're talking about Cody Bellinger, extensively about Cody Bellinger, despite the fact Cody Bellinger had a couple of really bad years here. One great season, and obviously left. Went to the Cubs, played pretty well. Went to the Yankees, and I thought did very well in the Big Apple, but he evidently is willing to come back here. The Dodgers are also continuing dialogue with Cleveland for Stephen Kwan. They've evidently cooled a little bit on Bo Bichette in Toronto only because of the massive dollar investment. I was told they don't want anything to do at all with Kyle Tucker because Scott Boras is asking for the moon in terms of a 10 or 11-year contract for a guy that's going to be 29 years old by the time I get to opening day. Bellinger? Would you rather have Bellinger over Kwan? What do you think?
It's always weird when a player comes back to their original team. That's why I think the Dodgers are likely not going to sign Bellinger. I mean, I know the Yankees would love to have him back. So the Kwan deal seems a little more realistic. I mean, just based on my gut tells me. But hell, I mean, Bellinger on a good year can be lights out, but a lot of the times he's not. So I don't know if he's worth a gamble.
New name that I'll throw back in here because I've been digging around. Boston's talked to the Dodgers about Duran again.
Oh,
Boston's looking for multiples of young players. And who's got multiples of young players?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you can't pry Quan, real proven commodity out of Cleveland, you go back and revisit with the Red Sox, which they have, I was told, for Duran. So now you got Bellinger out there, you got Quan, you got Duran. Maybe they wind up with one of those three. I think they're stepping away from the free agent bidding wars because they're so deep in the farm system, especially in pitching, and the world needs pitching, that they'd rather trade for a guy and control him for a couple of 3 years than commit enormous amounts of money for a long period to a veteran guy.
We figure, imagine from the Dodgers' point of view, if you're the management, if they did nothing over this offseason, they're going to lose a few free agents, but generally speaking, they're going to be a favorite to win the World Series again.
But they'd like to plug the hole.
Well, yeah, you can need to plug the hole, but they may not need to. They may be able to roll out, some kind of a platoon with Pages or Tommy Edman or something in the outfield, and that might be good enough because they've got so many other stars on that team. So I can see why Freeman maybe doesn't feel like he has to go all in on all the big names. But the Quan deal, I can see that happen, and that makes sense to me. But I kind of my gut says no Bellinger.
Also, there's a report out there that they're shopping Teoscar Hernandez. Now,
really?
Yeah, Teo has structured his contract with deferrals, so that's very affordable. And over in the American League, where he hit well, they're trying to move him maybe to the American League to be somebody's DH, get out from underneath the $33 million that they owe him. Some of that's deferred too, and just go a different direction. So
he is so happy being a Dodger.
I know.
I mean, he would be really disappointed if he got dealt.
But streaky hitter, not really good defensively, has really, I think, become deficient in right field. There's a lot of rumors with the Dodgers, and so this is going to be very interesting. Dodger fans, jump on board. Do you want them to dive back in, Bellinger, Kyle Tucker, or would you rather see them do something uniquely different, trade for Stephen Kwan or trade for Jarren Duran, because they got so many people in the farm system they can use rather than commit a mega contract to a Scott Boras client? Dodger fans forum chat box is open for you. We go from that to the third team in Southern California that we always cover.
Yeah, they're shopping at the bargain basement. Angels.
Sorry about the Angels. They went back in and got another starting pitcher. This guy was pretty good early in his career, then hit a wall with physical problems. Toronto gave up on him, and I was surprised they did, but maybe he got tired of all the stuff. I'm talking about Alek Manoah. This guy is 29-20 in the major leagues as a starter. He was 16-7 with a 2.24 ERA his first year, had control problems, mechanical flaws his second year, got hurt his third year, forearm and a bit of shoulder issue, and really went downhill. But this guy has pitched back in the minor leagues now in rehab and has pitched pretty well. Toronto didn't bring him back. Angels signed him on a bargain basement deal. They got him, now they got Grayson Rodriguez, and now they got at least 5 guys that have been major league starters, led by Kikuchi, obviously then Rodriguez, Soriano, who was an innings horse last year, Reed Detmers is going back into the rotation, and now you get Alek Manoah. That's a weird way of doing business. They've got a lot of money in their budget for free agents, and they'll have more if they do the buyout of Anthony Rendon. But maybe they're having a tough time convincing anybody to come be an Angel. But at least now they've been active 2 weeks in a row now. They've made what I would think would be a significant transaction. I like Grayson Rodriguez. I mean, kid was 20-8 in Baltimore before he had physical problems. And Manoah started his career ablaze and then ran into problems for a couple of years. But they must see some things they think they can fix, or maybe they think he is fixed and Toronto gave up too soon on him. What do you think?
I want Artie Moreno to make a good faith acquisition, right? To kind of re-energize the fan base. Alek Manoah, yeah, he's a roll of the dice. He may return to his former glory. They might get lucky. Same with Grayson Rodriguez. They might get lucky and he turns into like this big bargain. But if I'm an Angel fan, I'm like, come on, man. We're like you say, bargain basement. they got to do better than that. And Manoah, yeah, he was good when he was good, but I don't know if you can trust his arm and his physical.
Okay, Angel fan, feel free. Jonas, your reaction to what they've done. They've been the most active team leading up to the winter baseball meetings that start Friday in Orlando. We go from the teams on the West Coast. Let's go to the notebook in baseball.
Yeah, the MLB notebook will start it off with the Blue Jays.
How about Toronto? Not just the Dylan Cease deal, but now they got the top pitcher from abroad. They signed Cody Ponce, which really surprised me. He's the right-hander from Korea who was 17-1 and reinvented himself. And they signed him to a 3-year, $30 million contract. Now, he's an older guy at 6'6", 255 pounds. The guy throws hard. He found himself. He developed some different repertoire, changed his mechanics. He was just overpowering in Korea. Caution flag. Do you have a caution flag I could wave here? We were saying the same thing about Kyle Hart when he came to the Padres.
I was
last
thinking
year.
the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. I mean, I was floored because the Padres were talking about Cody Ponce a week ago. But the Mexican right-hander, he gets a 3-year contract from the Blue Jays. By the way, speaking of Dylan Cease, did some digging on his contract. I mean, we were floored. 7 years, $210 million. $9 million per year of that deferred.
Wow.
So the average salary for Dylan Cease is not going to be 30+ million per year. It's more like 21 million per year, and a whole chunk of that money is down road. So that's how
So
Toronto
much
made
money.
the deal go. New York Mets fired the first shot of all the relievers that are on the board. They signed Devin Williams, ex-Milwaukee, New York Yankees, signed him to a 3-year, $50 million contract. Now, that may be because they have to replace Edwin Diaz, but they're publicly saying they're willing to talk to Diaz further. But Diaz is asking for a 5-year contract. I don't see anybody giving Edwin Diaz a 5-year deal. But Devin Williams at one point teamed up with Josh Hader in Milwaukee, and they were so dang good. Went to Yankee Stadium, and I think really got overwhelmed with what it was like to be a Yankee and the pressure points. Now he's gone cross town. He signs with the New York Mets. Third team, Cincinnati. This is different. They're talking to Kyle Schwarber. They met with him yesterday. Schwarber is from a city adjacent to Cincinnati, Middletown, Ohio. He's thinking about coming back home. And he'd be leaving Philadelphia. But boy, the Reds historically have been small money, small market. What are you going to pay Schwarber? Schwarber wants beaucoup bucks after a 56 home run season. Usually when you leave a home run park, you say, where's this dude going to wind up? Because that park was a perfect fit for, Great American Ballpark's a home run ball yard, and he's home. Part of me says, you're going to do this? You're going to Cincinnati, small market Cincinnati? For what price? You take less money and go home? Or you're going for the big payday? But Schwarber's talking to Cincinnati. Baltimore, looking for a frontline starting pitcher. Have met with Framber Valdez, Houston Astros left-hander. Serviceable, solid, innings eater. They need a veteran starter at the front of the line. Philadelphia Phillies are in scramble mode because they don't know what's going to happen with Boston. What Boston does evidently is going to impact what happens in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has talked to Pete Alonso, but so have the Red Sox. Philadelphia is trying to re-sign JT Realmuto. So are the Boston Red Sox. I don't know if Boston's going to sign both of them, but that rumor is out there that they're going to change the personality of the Red Sox batting order at Fenway Park. So where would the Phillies be if Schwarber's gone and Realmuto's gone and Alonso is off the board? Wow. It'd be a very different Philadelphia Phillies team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, call Ryan Howard up, get him out there. They're going to need some help. But going through these names, it was interesting. The whole Schwarber to Cincinnati is fascinating to me because I just remember, the back in the glory days of the Big Red Machine. I mean, that was a fun franchise and a franchise that those fans deserve, some cash being spent on their team. And San Diego is already demonstrating that a medium to small market can spend the money and draw the fans. So why not Cincinnati? I love the idea of him landing there, Schwarber.
Also, there's one story that was just kind of breaking as I was coming on the air with you today. Guess who met with the Toronto Blue Jays today? On top of everything the Blue Jays have spent, guess who met with them in Dunedin, Florida? Kyle Tucker. That's at their spring training facility.
Really?
Kyle Tucker. I mean, the Blue Jays have spent a lot of money on Cease and just signed Cody Ponce of Korea, and they met today, I guess early morning, in Dunedin, their spring training headquarters, with Kyle Tucker. They're theorizing in Toronto, if this were to happen, it would push their payroll to a record-setting $320 million Canadian, which the Blue Jays have never, ever spent that amount of money. And it's interesting because Tucker's name, all season long, everybody had him as the number one free agent off the board, and it's been very quiet around Tucker. Now, maybe things are going to change if the Yankees lose somebody. Bellinger leaves, and maybe the Yankees dive in on Tucker. If the Mets don't get what they want, maybe they dive in on Tucker. It's really intriguing. His price tag's pretty high because he's represented by you-know-who.
Scott Boras?
You got it, brother.
Again, you get crap about that from people. I don't think you're right on that.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
I get crap from everybody all the time, but that's okay. Anyhow, that's what's gone on the baseball notebook. This Schwarber going home to Cincinnati story just kind of really, wow, that would be different.
It would be different. I mean, if he landed in Cincinnati, but I want to talk about the Blue Jays for a moment. I love the fact that they're still trying to win. You know, they came within like millimeters of getting that run at home plate, and they deserve a chance to, win one for the locals there in Canada. So it's great that they're going for it. And they're willing to spend the money because it seems like every year they try to get the big free agents and they never sign with them.
Well, they tried like hell to get Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what were the fans chanting? Like, we didn't need you or something?
We don't need you. Think how close the Jays got. They got within eighth throw at home plate or a fly ball at the wall that Pages grabbed off the wall. Yeah, it was a great World Series and they were so close.
Dodgers.
Okay. We're laying the groundwork for the winter baseball meetings. I'll tell you, Friday into next week is just going to be wild, but that's the latest hot headlines in baseball. One other baseball story because we have to cover it, and I told you it would be dark. I told you it'd be dirty, and it really is.
Yeah, the Tyler Skaggs. You got some new updates?
Yeah, this is the drug death testimony that has been given yesterday and today in the Tyler Skaggs case, and it involves a wide variety of people. Former teammate and pitcher Mike Morin was asked, because he shared drugs with Tyler Skaggs, is Skaggs responsible for all this? And Morin's the only one that's publicly said he's responsible for his own death. Skaggs' family is suing the Rangers, saying they were responsible because the PR director, Eric Kay, was a drug addict and was dealing drugs to Tyler Skaggs. CJ Cron, the former first baseman, said that Skaggs introduced him to Eric Kay and said, this is the drug pipeline guy. Cron bought 15 OxyContin pills in the clubhouse from Tyler Skaggs. CARLI Skaggs, the wife, said she never knew about his addiction and never asked about his addiction. The lawyers have just been vicious in terms of line of questioning. They presented texts from Tyler Skaggs' phone that he was texting teammate Matt Shoemaker saying, can I buy OxyContin? I want to take a shot during the game. They texted, where can I get access to purchase codeine, which is a prescription-only drug? He texted his wife, I am a drug addict. And they have evidence that he paid a bill of $1,650 via, is it Venmo?
Yeah, Venmo.
Via Venmo to PR director Eric Kay for payment of pills. So, I mean, it's just really been dark. It's dirty. It's just hurtful. There's been a lot of emotion. There's been a lot of tears. Trial is in the middle of its 7th week. It's going to be so complicated, I think, John, for the jury to come to a conclusion. And as they get done with their final presentations and the lawyers make their closing arguments, then I'll give you my opinion about what's right, what's wrong, what's fact, what's fiction, and the whole, as you said, that's a really great headline you put up there, blame game testimony. So what's your reaction to all that?
This doesn't look good for Skaggs. I mean, if he is texting people, I need this drug, I need that drug, I need some pills so I can play in the game. And I mean, the guy, he's also drinking a lot. I mean, each one of those things in isolation, you could probably, say it's a minor thing, but you start combining all this together, this is a cocktail that's going to it's going to destroy him. And it did. So this is looking like, Skaggs kind of is dug his own grave.
The other word that comes to my mind, and I'll throw in, there was one more piece of evidence this morning. The guy that did the rotator cuff labrum surgery on Tyler Skaggs, Dr. Neil Elatrache, who does all the major surgeries, said he was never, ever informed that Skaggs had been addicted to Percocet.
Really?
In the early stages of his career. So the word I'll throw at you is cover-up. There's like a cover-up of all this because the club didn't know, wife never asked, he was doing all this via text and relationships in the clubhouse. To me, it's a massive cover-up on behalf of Tyler Skaggs.
Well, interesting. So you're saying that maybe the Angels were covering up for him?
No, Skaggs was covering up everything he was doing.
Yeah, he was keeping that private. He was able to keep all of those rabbit holes closed, which is it's hard. That's hard to do, to do that. But this makes you wonder, though, how could the wife not know? I mean, how could the wife not know there was a change in behavior? Even if she didn't necessarily see the addiction, the demand for the drugs. I mean, it just, he wasn't right. So it's this whole story, like you say, it's really ugly.
It's dark. It really is just a terrible story. So if you're an Angel fan, you've been following this trial. We tried to present the information and the evidence. I mean, I've been floored with the depths of how dark this story is. That's all things baseball. Feel free. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. We get to halftime of our Thursday podcast. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. I tell people, John, all the time, you want to find out who these guys are, and they do more than just sell lumber to contractors. Want to find out, just go to DIXIELINE.com, but they sell doors, they sell windows, and then obviously any type of construction project they can help you with, and what I call the tool shed. What they've got for the do-it-yourselfer is absolutely amazing. And with the Christmas shopping season coming, this could be your place for a unique Christmas gift for the do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be like the dad gift, a power tool or some kind of a saw blade, which maybe dad wants, but this is a great place for mom too. I mean, cause they sell bathroom vanities and all kinds of other products there that are going to make your home a lot more livable, a lot more warm and inviting, so doors, windows, vanities, and then of course the outdoor decking. I mean, and then the lumber and the building materials. DIXIELINE handles the homeowner as well as the builder and the contractor, and they've been in San Diego for 100 years, Lee.
Go to DIXIELINE.com, find out all the things that they have to offer. And don't forget those Christmas card gifts from DIXIELINE Lumber. What great stocking stuffers. We are at halftime. Just a couple of program reminders. We cover sports. We do sports talk the way it should be done. When we're done with hot topics on the table and what we think about those hot topics on the table, you get the chance to join us. It's called Fans Forum. How do they get into the chat box?
Well, some of them are already in. I see Richard and PJ Raider and Retro and Normal Heights and who is that? MM Forever and Johnny and T-Man and Callan is in there, XX Revolution. So, hey, if you want to jump in, now's your chance. You have a question or comment for Hacksaw or myself in the world of sports, drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
And you can really help make this thing explode and grow. I have this long track record of sports talk radio in the San Diego and Los Angeles market. I want you to tell your friends what we are doing on Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Just email them, text them. Hacksaw is back. Have them go to the YouTube channel, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. They can follow what we're doing. And if you like sports, sample my website. You won't believe the amount of information I write every day. It's absolutely free. It's there first thing in the morning. Just go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com for the latest stories there. And by the way, get our newsletters. John and I started these newsletters. We send out 2 newsletters a day to everybody who's part of the Insiders Group. And how do you get on the Insiders Group? just go to my website and register. Just go to leehacksawhamilton.com, and there's an orange box. Fill it out. You get on the email list. 2 newsletters per day to all the sports fans. It's absolutely free. You're big on social media. I want you to join my Hacksaw Twitter all-star team. Just type in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. Share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get the alerts every time we put additional videos up on the YouTube channel, and we do that multiple times during the course of the week. So we got this whole thing covered. We're on all, I think last we checked, John had us on 9 different platforms. It's absolutely unbelievable the response we're getting, but you can help us grow this thing a little bit. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. I mean, yeah, about 9 different social media platforms, but in terms of audio only podcasts, we're on probably 15 to 20 other podcast platforms. So you're everywhere. And it's interesting. You said Hacksaw is back. You just got a comment recently on YouTube from a fan that said they listened to you in Cleveland and in Phoenix, and now they're rediscovering you online.
We're on the air everywhere.
Yeah, it's cool.
I got a lot of people chasing me too. Okay, we moved to the second half of this podcast, and we've covered all things Major League Baseball because we're baseball-centric. But as a longtime voice of the Chargers and the Seattle Seahawks, we do cover a lot of the National Football League. And John, a big storyline in the NFL are big games this weekend.
Must-see TV with the Chargers-Eagles.
Let's start with what Monday Night Football could have looked like and what it's going to look like. The Chargers, every time they play a big boy team, they get punched in the mouth and they lose. Philadelphia, they're the one with the Super Bowl ring and the trophy. They're going to punch them in the mouth again this weekend. But neither one of these teams is whole. The Chargers, Justin Herbert will attempt to play following surgery for the broken bone in his hand. He's going to has a cast. He's going to wear a brace on it. He's going to try to play, but he can't play under center, so they have to do a lot of lifetime shotgun stuff with Justin Herbert. If they get into goal line plays, they may go to Trey Lance. He's taken all the snaps with the number 1 unit on 4th and 1s and 3rd and 2s and goal line plays. So the Chargers won't have Justin Herbert at 100%, but they have him. They obviously have got themselves the number 1 draft pick is back. Omani Hampton has practiced. He will play probably on Monday night in some sort of rotation with Kamani Vidal. They've obviously got the receivers and the tight ends, so they won't have a quarterback at 100%, but they got a lot of other things. Philadelphia's got a problem. Jalen Carter, their stud defensive tackle, he's had a scope procedure on both of his shoulders this week and is out. He's out for a couple of weeks. He's not going to play. That kind of changes everything in their defensive front because that defensive front, that's big boy football. But that being said, the Eagles do have Jalen Hurts, who's got 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. They've got those 2 wide receivers between them, A.J. Brown and the other one, Devonta Smith. Those 2 guys have caught 118 passes between them. The tight end, Dallas Goedert, catches a ton of passes, and there's Saquon Barkley. I don't know how the Chargers are going to be able to account for everything Philadelphia's got, but not having Herbert at 100% nor Jalen Carter at all, that's going to change the scope of Philadelphia versus the Bolts come Monday. You got the Cowboys and you got the Detroit Lions. Dallas has won 3 in a row, and when they have the ball, they're damn impressive. Dak Prescott, 326, I should say, he's just phenomenally dominant going down the field. And the reason, because of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are catching everything. But those 2 guys are both averaging 15 yards per catch. And then Jake Ferguson, the tight end. Dallas can't stop anybody, but that offense is just dynamic. Meanwhile, Detroit is not what Detroit was. Do you know Detroit is 3-4 in their last 7 games?
Really?
Yeah, it's like they're staggering. Now, they got some guys in the offensive front that are nicked up. The defense kind of looks tired. It's just not the same football team right now. So that's going to be very interesting. I will say this. Detroit's going to have to really bring it because the Cowboy offense is averaging 393 yards per game. Phenomenal statistic this late in the season. Dak should be in the conversation for MVP, even though his team is at kind of a 500 team. So you got Dallas, Detroit's going to be a big game. Chicago, Green Bay, Da Bears. They have won 9 of their last 10. Back all summer, Back at the start of the season, we're talking about, does this Caleb Williams linkage with the new coach Ben Johnson work? Yeah, I guess so. They've won 9 of their last 10, and they're moving the ball offensively. They score on everybody. Green Bay is nicked up, and Lloyd, the starting quarterback, Jordan Love, is hanging in there. He's got 19 touchdowns. He's got 3 interceptions on the season, but they got a lot of guys beat up, and he's taken a lot of quarterback sacks. So this might be the beginning of a skid for the Green Bay Packers. But boy, Chicago, at least offensively, they look like they are the real deal. Is it the end of the season in Kansas City? This is must win for both these guys. Kansas City versus Houston. You got a Houston defense that is rolling. Houston's won 4 in a row, primarily because their defense is killing it. Defense has given up 265 yards per game. Defense has got 34 quarterback sacks. They're going against Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid's team has lost 3 of its last 4, just not the same team. They got massive problem. I got 3 offensive tackles out with injuries or surgeries. They can't run the ball. Mahomes is having to carry this whole thing by himself. Patrick Mahomes has 3,586 all-purpose yards in offense this season, and he's got 26 touchdowns. And they're in the teeth of the schedule because Kansas City, having gone 1-3, has to play Houston's defense, the Charger quarterback, and then the Denver defense and Bo Nix the last couple weeks of the season. So Houston, Kansas City, and they both desperately need to win. The other marquee game, it's a weird game. Indianapolis, which has lost 3 of 4 right now. They're just not the same team. They play Jacksonville. Jacksonville's won 3 straight. How's that possible? Trevor Lawrence, quarterback rating is 81, and yet the Jaguars have won 3 in a row. So Indy's got to get itself righted because right now they just don't look like the same football team that at one point was 7-2, I think. So those are marquee games this weekend. Monday night's going to be great. But I mean, Dallas's offense versus Detroit's defense. Wow. And Chicago, the real deal. Kansas City's in trouble. And I don't know who's the real team in the Indy-Jacksonville game.
Yeah, that Charger Eagles thing, I don't think is going to turn out well for the Chargers. I mean, especially with Herbert in the hand and everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's going to be trouble. But I want to, the next 2 games are the ones that are interesting to me. Now, what's interesting, that Dallas Detroit Lions game is a Thursday night game. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that those are the 2 teams that always play on Thanksgiving. And so, usually you think, okay, well, you play on Thanksgiving, you have a short week, and then you have a long week. But now you're going to go from a Thursday to a Thursday. So I don't know, is this advantageous or disadvantageous? I'm trying to calculate it in my head. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's a big problem because you're in a rhythm. So it's Thursday, you're in a rhythm.
Yeah, okay.
The big problem is Dallas's defense is terrible. And as Jared Goff is trying to find his bearings because they haven't played real well in Detroit, I can imagine Jared Goff and Dak Prescott are going to get into a throwing contest.
Yeah, I mean, but even with the Cowboys, they don't have much of a running game, though, do they?
They got enough to get by, but they are airing it out down the field. They're scoring a lot of points.
Well, Pickens has just been terrific.
I mean, and CeeDee Lamb. Now, who are you going to cover?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to cover him?
And then who is the tight end? Is it Ferguson?
Yes, Jay Ferguson.
He's pretty good, too.
Yep.
The other game, it's interesting too that the Bears are doing so darn well, and Caleb Williams is better than last year, but he's still kind of a quarterback, right?
Yeah, but he's not freelancing. He's not taking sacks. I mean, he'd run you out of drives because he's scrambling around there trying to make up something on the go. Last year, he's not doing any of that at all. And they're going down the field. He's got 2 receivers that are averaging 14 and 15 yards per catch. So what Ben Johnson's influence on Caleb Williams has turned into a really fine young NFL quarterback. He's only a second-year guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's very dynamic, And by the way, did you see Ben Johnson in the locker room with the team?
Yes.
And I think he had his shirt off, and it was reminding me of what's his name, Eric Musselman, when he used to take off his shirt when he was with Arkansas. So good on Ben Johnson. I mean, he has definitely been a culture change, for the Chicago Bears.
It's given Chicago what they've not had in a while. I mean, really good offensive leadership.
Yeah, big time.
Fine team. So we got big games this weekend. You want to comment? Feel free. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. My I tell you that the flashback I have when the Chargers play somebody big and physical, the Chargers get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And here comes Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, those three receivers, the two wideouts and the tight end. How are they going to stop them? And you got Justin Herbert playing with the injured hand. Of course, Philly doesn't have Carter, the big defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one saving grace for the Chargers. That dude's a monster.
So those are the headlines in the NFL. Feel free to jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Let's jump around the National Football League roadmap here.
Roadmap. Okay, we got some names in the news here, starting with the Steelers.
Yeah, let's start in Pittsburgh. Nobody's happy. Mike Tomlin's not happy. The fans are just beside themselves. My wife is in permanent pissed off mode, being a Steeler fan. Ben Roethlisberger and James Harrison have these big podcasts they do in Western Pennsylvania. They both, at the same time this week, said that the Steelers should work a buyout of the contract of Mike Tomlin, make a change. It's time to make a change. Tomlin's never had a losing record, but they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. In fact, Roethlisberger said Tomlin ought to be a candidate to go to Penn State because they're still looking for a coach. Tomlin said, listen, there's not enough money anywhere in the country to make me leave here. I have the best job in football. Yeah, I'm upset just like the fans, and I respect the fans. I'm upset. But that being said, they just can't fix the franchise. It's just their offense isn't very good. So that's interesting. Roethlisberger and James Harrison on their individual podcast have both sounded off that we need something to take us in a different direction. Raider Nation, Pete Carroll, he's not quitting. Pete Carroll says the NFL is about challenges, and this is a challenge. You think? The Raiders are 2-10 on the season. They've got just massive problems, and they don't have massive personnel to fix the massive problems. They might not win a game the rest of the season. They might be 2-15. By the way, former Raider coach Antonio Pierce, he stands up. He's got a podcast, and he says, it's taken a decade to fix this bad boy, and they still haven't fixed it. This one-and-done coaching scenario just doesn't work. They keep cycling through guys. He said what I think fans ought to be saying. We need a new owner. It's all on Mark Davis. When your record is 130 and 238 since 2002, and Mark Davis is the only constant in all that, don't you think you need an owner? I think Raider fans should stand up and bring signs, say, sell the team, because Mark Davis has no track record of success at all. And now Antonio Pierce, his former coach, he got booted out, said this is all on ownership. Kansas City, Andy Reid, he's peeved at the media. He is really defiant. He told the media on Monday, looked into the cameras of all the TV stations, and we will fix this. Andy, how are you going to fix it? You can't fix an offensive line that has been a negative. And now they've lost Josh Simmons for the year with a dislocated wrist. They lost Jawan Taylor, the right tackle. He's out with a hip injury. They lost their right guard. Trey Smith's got I think it's a tricep or a bicep injury. They got 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen out. You can't play that many backups in your offensive line and think you can survive. Call the Chargers about how that's worked out. Andy Reid just totally defiant. And he's totally ignoring his secondary. Last week his secondary took 6 pass interference penalties and a defensive hold penalty, his corners and safeties. And the secondary's been shaky all year long. And they can't run the bloody football. There's no power running game. That's why Patrick Mahomes has 3,500 all-purpose yards. He has to do everything himself. Andy Reid is just, he kind of came out of character. He just lost it in his Monday press conference. He's really defiant. And then there's Cleveland. Explain this one to me. They activate Deshaun Watson after all the season on the injured reserve list and all the years on injured reserve list. And he was taking snaps with the number 1 unit today. Now, if that's not a vote of no confidence to Shadur Sanders, I don't know what is. If that's not a distraction Cleveland doesn't need, I don't know what is. They think they're going to win a bunch of games with a guy that hasn't played in hardly a year and a half. He's 9-10 as a starter since they signed him in 2022. He's missed so many games, first with the suspension and then with all the different injuries. And you activate him at the end of a no-win season? Makes no sense to me at all. I mean, that looks really bad as to what Stefanski's opinion of Shadur Sanders must be, that you're activating a guy that's been injured and has got all this junk off the field. Ew, that's really weird. Anyhow, those are the big stories around the NFL notebook. And John, what do you got to say?
What do I got to say? Well, first of all, I can't blame the Browns for at least seeing what Deshaun Watson's got. Put him out there with the first team. Let's see if he's got anything left in the tank. I mean, he hasn't played in how long? A couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but they said they were going to commit to Shadur for the balance of the season. So I don't know. It's probably just an audition in practice. The Steelers story is interesting because they've had that track record for so long with Chuck Noll and
Cowher.
Bill Cowher, and then Tomlin's been there forever. I mean, it's been like 3 coaches for like 50 or 60 years. You'd hate to see that whole thing get disruptive, turn the Steelers into like the Raiders, the way the Raiders go through coaches. I mean, that'd be a bummer. But is Tomlin really the problem, or is he just the scapegoat for this whole thing?
I think there's an organizational problem as to what you should be doing in modern day football offensively, and why aren't you getting these guys in the draft or spending free agency? To me, and if we got Steeler fans out there that want to jump into this, get in the fans forum chat box, they have a pedestrian offense. They run the ball, they throw it to the tight ends. They have anybody deep down the field? No. And some of the guys have had that used to be deep down the field were crackpots that they got rid of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I think Pittsburgh's just a mess. And some of this has got to be Tomlin's philosophy of we're going to play defense and run the football. Well, that's not what modern day football in the NFL is all about.
Okay. Yeah. It's at the old school thing going on.
Yeah.
That's like Schottenheimer, 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, more or less. So football fans, NFL fans, feel free to jump on board. College football. Wow. Front and center right in front of our face. What a big weekend we got. We got big storylines too.
Yeah. San Diego State, we got Sean Lewis went from 3-9 to 9-3.
Thumbs up. Fiery press conference. He was really interesting coming off the awful loss at New Mexico. He was really stand up, because I asked him pinpoint blank about losing in New Mexico, and did you think you got treated fairly by the Mountain West Conference when they went through the tiebreakers to determine the 4 schools who were 6-2 who should play in a championship game this weekend? And he just flat out looked at me and said, no blame, no resentment, no anger. We lost 3 games on the road. It's on us. They said we needed to play better. They said there were 6 games in the New Mexico game that if we'd made those plays on those 6 plays, we probably would have won. But he did challenge the fans here again. He said, I hope our fans, the Aztecs for life, I hope they watched that New Mexico game. They saw the 30,000 crowd in Albuquerque and how they influenced the outcome of the game. And did you see those 30,000 rush the field? That's what my guys deserve at Snapdragon Stadium. And if we get that, it's going to happen here. So he was really strong in his opinions. He said also going 9-3 makes a statement, launching point for what San Diego State's going to be in the Pac-12 next season. And he said he just totally disagreed, because I kind of intimated, well, you beat some bad teams and then you beat some backup quarterbacks and you finished 9-3. And he said, no, we had a nationally ranked defense that helped us get to 9-3 on the season. Now, they just had unveiled their recruiting list. They've signed 23 so far. My only disappointment here, this is a talent-rich market. San Diego, he got 2 kids out of San Diego. 35 other kids yesterday signed to go out of town. So not only does the Aztec fan, friend, and alum not believe in the program because they didn't go to Snapdragon to see games, high school kids don't believe in the program. I was really disappointed because I kept looking. How many you get? How many did you get? You got 23 players, 2 of them from San Diego County. Yikes. A lot of work to be done, but he's working hard at it. So I give him thumbs up. I think you flip this sucker from 3-9 to 9-3 just like that. They have inefficiency at quarterback. They're going to have to solve that situation. Granted, they're going to lose a chunk of their defense, but there's always turnover. But he's getting his kind of player. He wants players on the edge. And he's recruited a whole bunch of those type, he calls them alphas. So I thought it was a real good season at San Diego State. But at the end of the day, they lost 3 games on the road, and it came back to haunt them in terms of not being in the Mountain West Championship game. So what do you think about the red and black?
You know, it's a nice bullet on the resume, right? 3-9 to 9-3.
He did the same damn thing at Kent State.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great narrative. I mean, not only to tell the media, not only if you're going to get a job in the future somewhere else, but it's a good thing to tell recruits, and it's all evidence of this program actually being built up. So I think it's great news for him, and I also really like the attitude of being very stoic about the computer ranking, because it's completely out of his control. What he could control was trying to win the games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very mature point of view. And I think it also reflects well to his team, to his players. So they're not all bitching and moaning about the computer program. Rather, they need to be looking internally and reflecting on how they can be better players.
That's kind of what he said. So 9-3. You don't agree with the fact they beat bad teams the first half of the schedule, and they got fortunate because they beat bad backup quarterbacks when they played big boys at the end of the season.
Oh, it's a hell of a lot better than 3-9.
Yeah.
You know, and you win the game. That's who was the one that says we play the game to win, you know? And so it's a great season for him. And I think as Aztec fans, we got to be thrilled. But this whole angle about they're not keeping the San Diego kids, but you know, so much football talent comes out of California, Texas, and Florida, but they go to Ohio State or Oklahoma or Oregon. So it's not like this should reflect negatively on him. You know, obviously you'd like to keep your talent, you know, locally here, but you know, when you're 18, you're going away to college. Kids want to go away and they want to kind of discover themselves. They don't want to still be connected to mom and dad, you know, living up, you know, down the street from school. So I don't really blame him for that. You know, only 2 recruits from San Diego. I think that's a trivial point.
Okay. We go from Aztecs. Feel free, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box belongs to you. Let's go to college football Saturday. Game day, baby.
Big games, championship Saturday.
Ohio State, Indiana, 1 versus 2. They're both 12-0. I look at this and I think, this is the national championship. I don't care about the rest of them.
Totally.
So Indiana, led by the kid who left here from Carlsbad, Julian Sayin. He's thrown for 3,065 yards and 30 touchdowns. His Buckeye offense is averaging 438 yards per game. Nobody talks Ohio State defense. They're giving up 203 yards a game. Think about that. And they're giving up just 7 points per game. That's Ohio State. Indiana's got the transfer from Cal, Fernando Mendoza, almost 2,600 yards passing, 25 touchdowns. They're averaging 483 per game. By the way, Indiana's defense, giving up 10 points per game, giving up just 253. They are so rock solid tough. Alabama, Georgia. The battle, get this, of the backup quarterbacks. Who could have ever seen this coming? Alabama's got Tyler Simpson, who was the third-string quarterback for 3 years, became a starter when they had to play him. 25 touchdowns, 4 picks for Tyler Simpson. Gunnar Stockton, who was a backup for 3 years at Georgia, he's thrown for 2,500 yards and 25 touchdowns. That's going to be a really interesting game. And the Mountain West game, I think, will be fun to watch because we identify with these guys. Now Boise's going to play both their quarterbacks. Maddox Madsen is healthy, and the kid who threw for 340 last week, Max Cutworth, is going to play too. They're going to rotate them. They're both going to play against Vegas. Vegas has got a quarterback that Dan Mullen brought in, a transfer, Alex Calandria. That kid's thrown for 2,400 yards. It's going to be weird, though, because the championship game, Vegas is dominated at home. This sucker's on the blue carpet up at Boise. So, John, what do you think of those 3?
Okay, first of all, that Ohio State-Indiana game, is it neutral site or is this in is it in Indianapolis or are they playing in the Horseshoe?
No, I think it's in Indianapolis.
Okay, good. So this will, because if they play in either home stadium, the crowd will be heavily tilted. So this is, like you say, this is going to be like a national championship. But I'll tell you what, they're both making the playoff. So they may meet again. And by the way, did you Mendoza for Indiana? He went to Cal,
right? Transfer.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
And so, but good on him. I mean, he's having a terrific year. Now, there's some people that are speculating that if Alabama loses, that they may be on the outside looking in for the playoff. What do you think about that?
There's a lot of jockeying at the back end. Texas is standing there screaming, saying we deserve to be in because we beat 3 top 10 teams and we almost beat Ohio State. And it's probably credence to what Texas was over the whole big picture of the season. And you got BYU is in their game against Texas Tech. That game is not in neon lights, but both those guys are ranked pretty high. So the loser of that's going to fall out. So even if Bama were to lose, they may drop. But I don't think they're going from where they are in the poll down to 14th or 15th, which would knock them out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that one. And by the way, the Mountain West Championship game, I mean, obviously from an Aztec point of view, we can talk about the computers, but imagine if you're a New Mexico fan, because going into that game last weekend, weren't the Aztecs 1 and then New Mexico was 2. Yep. And so 2 beat 1, but neither one of them are in the championship game for the conference. So how did New Mexico get bounced out?
Lousy non-conference schedule, but New Mexico beat UCLA. They beat Boise, and I believe they beat Vegas. If anybody has the feeling we got screwed, probably New Mexico.
That's what I'm saying.
But the Aztecs beat Cal, and Cal wound up with a really good record.
Yeah, they had that freshman quarterback's pretty good.
And as the Aztecs beat Boise, they beat Fresno. So I think they both kind of got shortchanged.
I agree.
So, okay, that's all things college football. Oh, is it time? That's an early game on Saturday. Is it time? Ohio State, Indiana.
Does it bother you, by the way, that I think Fox calls it Big Noon Saturday?
Yeah.
But it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Coast. So that's East Coast bias. What do you think?
No, that's just marketing.
Yeah.
And that thing, Big Noon Saturday, that's stuck. Everybody likes it.
Well, yeah, because if you're on the East Coast, you know what I mean?
Everybody identifies with it.
All right.
Okay, we go from that. Let's peek inside the college football notebook.
Yeah, we got some names in the news. Look at these 5 bobbleheads.
Yeah, let's start with Lane Kiffin. So Kiffin gives us one story about what happened Sunday at the chancellor's office, takes the LSU job, the mega contract, etc. 24 hours later, the athletic director comes out and says, what he told you is not true. That they told Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss that he would 3 weeks ago, before the end of the season, if you take a job, you won't be allowed to coach this team. Whether it's in the SEC championship game or whether it's in the college playoffs, you will not be allowed to coach. And yet Kiffin said, we negotiated. Well, there was no negotiating according to the AD. Kiffin also said the players went to the chancellor and said, we want him to coach us. The players then stood up, told the athletic director, no, he's leaving. We'll play for somebody else. So Kiffin wasn't truthful in his press briefing as he was hired at LSU. Plain and simple. What's the word I used? Slick?
Oh, yeah.
Sleazy?
Yeah, slime ball.
Slime ball. So anyhow, that's the Lane Kiffin story. Second guy is James Franklin. James Franklin lands on his feet, Virginia Tech. Very impressive recruiting haul. He goes to Va Tech. He had great success at Penn State. He had great success at Vanderbilt, where nobody had won since 1948. So he winds up at Virginia Tech, and he gets 11 players decommit from Penn State and follow him to Virginia Tech.
Wow.
Just absolutely stunning. Third one is a name you don't know, Bob Chesney. He will be named the head coach at UCLA, we think on Monday or Tuesday. This guy is at James Madison. They're playing for the championship in their league. Former 1AA coach who won at 1AA, Division II, and Division III. This guy's got quite a track record now. A little bit behind the power curve in terms of recruiting, but everywhere he's gone, he has won. Fourth guy is Brigham Young's coach. You probably know him, Kalani Sitake. He backed out at the last minute on the Penn State job because the alumni, a big alumni called Big Cookie that owns this big cookie manufacturer,
Big
Cookie, came up with the money to upgrade their NIL program at BYU. Sitake backed out on the job at Penn State that he had verbally agreed to sign, and he's going to stay at Brigham Young. Social media's lost its mind. Social media's gone crazy. They got pictures of the Cookie Monster and the Nittany Lion, and the Cookie Monster eating the Nittany Lion because they got their coach back. And the last coach is Pat Fitzgerald. This guy did a hell of a job at Northwestern. He was removed because of a hazing controversy within the football program. He was found innocent of any wrongdoing. He sued. They settled out of court. He got hired just like that at Michigan State. This guy knows the landscape of the Big Ten. This guy was 110 and 101 at Northwestern, and they hadn't run forever. Did a great job there. So he'll fix Michigan State. And poor Jonathan Smith, I liked him. He was at Oregon State. He went to Michigan State. He made mistakes on quarterbacks 2 years in a row. It cost him his job. He got bought out there. The one name I've not mentioned, I'm going to mention two other things here as long as we're just talking college football. So Penn State has now gone 50 days since they fired James Franklin, and he wound up at Vautech. They still don't have a coach.
Really?
Penn State yesterday, when everybody else was signing a lot of recruits, Southern Cal signed 35, number one class in the country. We talked about the Aztecs signed 23. Penn State signed 2.
Whoa.
They lost, obviously. They lost 10 who decommitted yesterday and went with Franklin to Vautech. They lost a total of 24 recruits since the day they fired James Franklin, and they still don't have a coach. That's absolutely stunning. The rankings came out today. Penn State's ranked 150th in recruiting. They had 2 kids signed.
That's mind-blowing.
That's Penn State.
I know, exactly.
Holy cow. And UCLA, Southern Cal across town's got the number one recruiting class in the country. UCLA lost 10 commits the day that they fired Deshaun Foster. And yesterday, 5 more decommitted.
Yeah.
And UCLA it's a massive hole. Now, they're going to hire Chesney on Monday. So that's all things starting from Lane Kiffin, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fallout, the response in the college football notebook.
Wow. Quite a collection of characters right there. Hey, on the Lane Kiffin thing, I mean, this dude, he's a liar. I mean, he's always kind of hyping. Like this whole thing about how he said that the Ole Miss players wanted him to stick around. And that was just a flat out lie.
Right.
You know, so he's just like a carnival barker out there. So it's no wonder that this slime ball thing follows him around. You know, by the way, you know, Derek and David Carr remember they were
Fresno
brothers
State.
at Fresno State. Apparently that's where Lane Kiffin went to school. And he was a quarterback there. He was a 3rd string quarterback under, I think it was David Carr was the older one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was under the David Carr era. And they were joking about how Kiffin was like the 3rd string quarterback. And then suddenly he was the 5th string quarterback. And then suddenly he was the wide receiver coach, you know? And so that was sort of the end of the line for him at Fresno State, which is interesting to hear the background story. Now, James Franklin going to Vautech, I'm getting these confused in my head because Virginia is in the ACC.
Yeah.
Where is Vautech?
In the ACC.
Oh, they're both.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I just think of Michael Vick when I think of Vautech.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, Frank Beamer was just a great coach. They've had a bumpy run since Beamer retired, but Franklin's a great recruiter. He's got recruiting ties in the Norfolk area, which is the hotbed in that state. He just went in and just plucked all these kids out there, and then he stole all these kids from the Penn State list. He's going to make Virginia Tech something special.
Well, do you think maybe he was scapegoated at Penn State? I mean, he was still a good coach. I mean,
just didn't win any big games at all.
Yeah, but you know, it's hella hard to beat Ohio State and some in Michigan, and when they're at the top of their game, and then this year Indiana. So that's a tough assignment.
What was his record? I'm trying to remember. 4-21.
It was something ugly.
Against top 10 teams.
Yeah,
just never accomplished that. He accomplished a lot of other great things, but he never accomplished that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
Well,
you're a Lane
hey,
Kiffin fan. Feel free.
one more
Respond.
thing.
Fans forum chat box. Yes.
BYU is spending a lot of money.
Yes.
And basketball too. So this is all part of that cookie guy, so part of that conspiracy. So it's interesting that BYU, was independent for so long, but yet they're very, very relevant. And it's good to see that their coaches are highly sought after.
Tell you what, they're becoming a player in the Big 12. Damn, I wish they were a player in the new Pac-10 or
That'd be
Pac-12.
nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Be a big difference maker. Okay, final set of topics on the table. Hacksaw's headlines before we let you take over this podcast.
Clippers, big news from the Clips.
Yeah, 3:00 in the morning, the Clippers released Chris Paul, the veteran guard. Paul had already indicated he was going to retire. Evidently, they got tired of it. There was a tirade in the Clipper locker room where Paul went off on his teammates, went off on Coach Tyrone Lue, went off on the general manager, and that ended the relationship. And they informed him at 3:00 in the morning he was being cut on a road trip. Clippers are having a miserable season.
3 in the morning.
It's 6-15. Yeah. Kawhi Leonard said he was shocked. James Harden said he never saw this coming. But evidently, Paul is such a strong presence and just so vocal that they couldn't allow him to stay on the roster. I think he's done. He wasn't playing hardly at all. And when he was playing, he was not productive. It's kind of a sad way that it's ended up. And boy, the Clippers are an absolute mess. Hockey. What have we talked about for 3 straight years involving the Edmonton Oilers? Goaltending.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
It's still a problem. I mean, look where they are in the standings. They're just absolutely stunning. And now they're not scoring. They're not playing good defense. They're still not getting good goaltending. Big rumor out there that Edmonton is trying to make a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they might go after the Penguins star goaltender Tristan Jarry. Now, there's a salary cap issue there they're trying to work around, and he's had injuries too. He's had some knee injuries, but Jarry might wind up in Edmonton. NASCAR. This lawsuit is really something. This antitrust lawsuit involving Michael Jordan's 23X team and Denny Hamlin's team. The owner of Hamlin's team, Bob Jenkins, testified yesterday that NASCAR gave him a take it or leave it document, a 112-page document with 6 hours to view. Sign it or you lose your charter and you're out. And Jenkins decided, after he'd talked to 13 other owners in the middle of the night, that he was going to sue an antitrust violation against NASCAR. The other 13 owners had already signed the deal, even though they felt it was a bad deal. Jenkins says, I'm not going to do this. He said, I lost 22 years in a row. I lost money with my NASCAR team. Denny Hamlin, who drives for Jenkins, wept when he was on the stand. He said it cost him $700,000 just to put a car on the track to run the 38-race schedule. He said, overall, you need $20 million a year in finances to be able to run. And he said 13 of the 16 NASCAR teams aren't making money, and yet they subscribe to this charter system because it's the only way to get the revenue from NASCAR. The lawyers stood up in the middle and argued with each other, and the judge allowed it to happen, so the jury heard this. The lawyers argued, because they have access to all the documents, that 13 of the 16 teams lost money in 2024, and in 2024, NASCAR put $400 million of resources from racing into the family trust of the France family that owns NASCAR. And Denny Hamlin testified they're double dipping. Not only does NASCAR own NASCAR and put on the events, NASCAR owns 10 to 12 tracks. So all the fees that go to the tracks that the France family owns go to their bank account too. And he said 13 to 16 teams are losing money. He says that's not fair. And he says they're just bullies, and the way they've treated us is terrible. This is a really nasty, nasty story. Formula One. Guess what I'm going to be watching in the middle of the night on Sunday? The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's the final race of the F1 season. You got the points race. You got the madman, Mad Max Verstappen, the cutthroat driver. You got Lando Norris, who leads by only 12 points now in the points championship. You got Oscar Piastri, who's in third place in the points. This is something. They put all 3 drivers on a pedestal for the press conference with the global media yesterday, and it was really funny to hear them talk. Max Verstappen just went public, and he said, "I've been here before, gentlemen. I have 4 of these already." He says, "I'm going to try to get my 5th." Lando Norris said, "I got 7 wins. I believe there's an 8th win coming. I can do this. There's no pressure on me." And Piastri said, "I will not be intimidated. We've won 7 races ourselves on my team, and I'm going after this because I would then be the first guy ever in the history to win a championship in F1, F2, and the Young Rookie Series F3." So it's interesting. They had all 3 guys sitting at a podium, and they all dislike each other, and they all threatened each other during the course of the season. And here they are talking about getting ready for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So if you're into auto racing, feel free to join us in Fans Forum. Last topic on the table. John and I have been doing this podcast 3 years. We've been talking for 3 years about the merger between PGA Tour, LIV. Rory McIlroy goes public in Ireland, gives up. He says there is no vision for a merger now. He says, "We, the PGA, respect all the traditions of golf." And he says the LIV proposals are irrational. They want to change the game. Rory says, "I believe in a globalization of the golf tour, but the game of golf is the way we play it. The way we play it at the Masters, at the U.S. Open, or the British Open, not the way they play it over there." And Rory McIlroy says, "I see no way that there's ever going to be a merger because those guys are irrational trying to change the game." So, John, a lot of topics starting from Chris Paul. Work your way through that. Here's the green flag. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for the permission to go. Okay. So this Chris Paul thing is interesting because I was reading how Paul was joking about, the Clippers and load management and Kawhi. And I think he said, "Yeah, Kawhi, you are the load." And that wasn't taken well. And I think it's his presence of holding guys accountable that's ruffling the feathers of some of those veterans, other veterans that have been there for a while. And then I saw a clip from 5-10 years ago when Kawhi was still with the Spurs and Popovich was being interviewed. And he was talking about how Patty Mills and Manu Ginobili were the leaders of that team. Kawhi was a good player, but not necessarily a leader. And so I'm wondering if those dynamics are still cooking in the Clippers clubhouse. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's some past history there that you can't be forgotten. These guys all have egos, and if you say something negative 5 years ago, I probably hold it against you.
Yeah. So, I mean, but Chris Paul, let's be real. He's past his prime.
He's 40.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that he's still playing ball. I remember I looked up at the NBA, all the oldest players in the league. And yeah, you do see Chris Paul. He's number 2. I think LeBron's the oldest. But, who's in that top 15 or so is Brooke Lopez, who was on the Clippers. And you're saying they're old, they're slow. But what a disaster. Everything's going on with the Clippers. I mean, so, all right. So Chris Paul's gone. The F1 thing about the 3 guys at the podium, and they're all kind of, peacocking around saying how good they are and how they're going to win, kind of reminds me of like a press conference before a boxing match.
Yeah.
When Muhammad Ali was out there and he's like, I'm going to show you how it's done. And
Mucho macho.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good showmanship. And it is disappointing. The whole Rory McIlroy story. It's like, come on, guys, just fix this. The fix is pretty obvious. Just get together and do it. And it must be discouraging for him.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, those are all the stories in the world of sports because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Your chance now. We're going to try to run as much as we can in the next hour on the Fans Forum segment. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you across San Diego. Don't forget the gift cards from DIXIELINE. What great stocking stuffers. Go to DIXIELINE.com. Find out all the things they have to offer. John, ready, set, go.
Go. Okay, we'll start here at the top of the list with Johnny. He says, Imai to the Phillies or the Yankees?
I have no doubt that there's going to be a lot of people sales pitching him. The question is, the Dodgers are offering something the Padres are offering something unique, a chance to pitch against the Dodgers. Because Imai made the public statement, I don't want to sign in L.A., I want to pitch against them and beat against them. Well, why would you not want to do that here? You're going to face them 13 times during the course of the regular season. The question is, would Scott Boras take a uniquely structured contract that give him big money for only 3 years and let him be a free agent again? Or does it have to be something like a 6 or 7 year contract that initially he was offered? I have no doubt. I was told there were 7 teams after him, and now the Padres are late entrants, so that might make 8. But we're looking at it from the San Diego perspective, that I was told that AJ's trying to do a unique contract in San Diego compared to what somebody else might do in another market.
You know, there's a couple comments here from other guys here. T-Man says, hey, you do know that there's this pitcher for the Dodgers who's the same size as Imai. I think he's done pretty well. And then Johnny beat him to it. Yamamoto, 5'10", 165.
Yep, I concur. But he is 5'10", 154. And he's rail thin. I mean, but you put a guy in a professional atmosphere in Major League Baseball with a weight training program and diets, they'll grow him out. But no, these guys, you Dodger fans are correct in terms of the size factor with Yamamoto. So going to be interesting. I think this is more about the dollar and the term of the contract than it is about the fact he's 154 pounds.
Oh, clearly. It all comes down to the money, Lee. And then here's just another tangent on that story. And this is from Retro. He says, Imai would be a good fit for the Padres. And if not, I don't see Gore back in San Diego, but he does bring in the innings.
Gore pitched really well last year. It's the first real dominant stretch he had. I mean, he had some games where his strikeouts were just phenomenal. His ERA was very impressive for a chunk of time last season. But at the end of the day, how do you acquire him? It's not a contract thing, because he's 2 years before he becomes a free agent, be a 2-year rental. But they don't have anything in the farm system to trade. And Washington wants instant players, so it would have to be a 3-way deal. Or if they're going to move him, they're going to move him to somebody else and get guys that are coming to play in the Washington uniform at the major league level.
Do you remember, like, earlier in the season, the Nationals, I think, swept the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
And then the national social media team said fleeced, because they thinking they won that Soto trade. And because they got Gore, they got Woods, they got CJ Abrams.
And those guys were all a piece of them beating their brains out.
But now they want to trade them. I mean, there's even been talk of CJ Abrams maybe getting dealt as well.
Taking offers.
That must mean that they got nothing.
Ownership is a mess.
Yeah.
You got cornerstone players, and you're not going to go add cornerstone players, and you got a lower budget. Now they do have a new general manager who came from the Red Sox, so maybe he's got a different philosophy. It'll be interesting to see.
Speaking of general managers, you shared in the best 15 about the Rockies?
Yes.
And they previously got DePodesta.
And they hired Josh Burns from the Dodgers.
So it's like the Rockies are starting to make some smart moves.
Well, will they sign players? Will they spend money? Will they acquire? Because under Monfort, they've really been penny pinchers. But I like Josh Burns. He spent 11 years with the Dodgers as one of Friedman's right-hand men. Prior to that, he was here for a short term with the Padres. I thought did a good job. Gave out some contracts that ownership told him to give out. And, prior to that, he was in Arizona. And before that, he cut his teeth in Cleveland. He was part of a whole group that made the then Cleveland Indians pretty competitive with young pitching. So I think he's got a good track record as an executive. I think this all comes down to how much money's in the checking account, and will Monfort let him spend?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that team's been in the dregs for so long. Hey, let's go here to Callan. He goes, afternoon, gents. Saw tough night for the Ducks last night. How do you think they're going to have to address their goalie situation?
They got both those guys are injured. Lucas Dostal and Mrazek are both on injured reserve. They're 2 goalies of the San Diego Gulls goalies. I don't know who the Gulls have playing in goal right now as they get ready to play games this weekend at home in the American Hockey League. For them to get jolted like they did, they got beat 7-0 at home last night. And Ville Husso had done a good job first couple of games, but he must have let in some games and just started to fight the puck. And they pulled him. I think he gave up 4 and they yanked him out. And it wound up being 7-0. I mean, you talk about getting battered at home. Wow.
7-0. That's like,
it's terrible.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Where are these guys? Where's Carlson and them? I mean, up until last night, they'd never experienced that kind of setback. They've won a bunch. They were in first place. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your eyesight. The Ducks are in first place. The Kings were in second place.
Wasn't it the other way around just a few days ago?
Flip-flopping, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But
7-0.
that's a big time setback.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what's interesting is in football, 7-0, no big deal. In baseball, depending on what's going on, you can sometimes overcome a 7-0. But 7-0 hockey has got to be like 7-0 in soccer, right?
Well, I did a game on the World Hockey Association when I was the voice of the Cleveland Crusaders. We were trailing 9-2 against the Toronto Toros, and we came back and won.
Whoa.
Won the game 11-10. I just couldn't believe it. Their goaltender could not stop a beach ball, much less a hockey puck. It was terrible.
Just terrible. Okay, let's go here to MM Forever. And my apologies. First of all, thanks, MM. I should have had you at the top of the list. Hey, San Diego Chargers fans, if they were real fans, would have followed them to LA. Big deal. It's a 1.5 hour drive each way. The LA thing isn't a legit excuse.
I think it's more than an hour and a half, and it's an awful lot of money. I mean, the prices are really, really steep. And if you're a San Diego Charger fan, they took the team out of the city that supported them for 55 years. You don't resent that? I do. Everybody I know does. There's hardly anybody. This is their 8th year since they left. I think I have collectively seen 8 people in San Diego in 8 years wear Charger gear. One of them was me because I wore my Charger hoodie here to do this podcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're fans here, I don't know where they are, and they're surely not showing the colors. And the product's good. The team is fun to watch, and I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan. My philosophy in life, I hope Justin Herbert goes 17-0, and I hope Dean Spanos goes 0-17. I know there's counseling for that, but that's the way it is.
That's an internal conflict right there.
Yeah.
You know, in the responses that we get to all the social media comments and the YouTube posts that we do, there have been a number of Charger fans that have said that there's still a very large contingency of San Diego residents that are still fans of the Chargers.
Do they go to the games up there, or do they just sit and watch?
No, they not only do they go to the games in LA, they go to the away games too.
Wow.
And so there's still a loyal faction. But to your point, yeah, you don't see many Charger jerseys around San Diego. You're probably more likely to see one on a homeless guy than you are, anybody else, So
like I counted, because I was very intrigued who's wearing it. And I swear to you, this is the honest to goodness truth. And I don't travel all circles, but I saw 7 people wear Charger gear over 6 or 7 years. And 3 or 4 of them are homeless guys.
I know exactly.
I mean, guys pushing carts wearing Charger gear that somebody given them.
Right. But I'll tell you this. When I moved to San Diego in 1982 to be a freshman in college down here, I was blown away by how many Charger T-shirts I saw back then. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, that was in the heyday of the whole Dan Fouts and everything going on then. But it's just so sad that they had to leave San Diego.
They didn't have to leave. Spanos grabbed for the money.
Right.
They offered to build a stadium. The financing was in place, and they walked away from it.
Right. So, yeah, it was all an orchestrated thing, a dog and pony show.
Okay, so I'll be intrigued to see. I mean, I still write on my website. I write a lot of Charger football stuff. So, read my website every day, because usually the Chargers and the Rams are the lead stories in the NFL segment. It's all written. So the people need to follow that thing every day. I'd be intrigued to see how many Charger fans are really out there.
Yeah, they're out there. Okay, now here's PJ Rader. He's coming down on this topic here, Lee. Tucker's agent is not Scott Boras.
Well, I read that. If maybe I misread it, maybe he's no longer the guy. I don't know, but I'll take it at your word if it's a different client. But boy, the information on him's been very quiet up until the story broke about him meeting with the Blue Jays at their spring training facility in Dunedin, Florida. I think it was this morning or maybe yesterday morning.
Where's Dunedin?
It's on the east coast of Florida.
Okay, so down sort of near Miami.
It's south of Vero Beach, going towards Miami.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. Kyle Tucker, on one level, you think this guy is a potentially like a 5-tool guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, power, hits for average, all the things that you want in a player. But like you're saying, he's a little bit older. Isn't he, like you said, 29?
28, 29, and they're asking for 10 years.
That's a lot. That's a big ask.
I agree. He's a 273 career hitter. I think he averages 25 home runs per season.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, but that's not Shohei Ohtani good.
Yeah. But nobody else is either.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Schwarber should get more money than Kyle Tucker, don't you think?
Yeah, but I don't think Schwarber's anywhere near the defensive player. Schwarber strikes out on load.
But Schwarber will get more money on a per year basis, I think, than Tucker will.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, Schwarber's got holes in his game.
Yeah, but boy, when he connects, that ball goes.
Well,
He's a dude.
if that dude wound up at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati.
Well, they always say that's the bandbox. It's there in Philly. Cincinnati and Philly are the two bandboxes.
That's interesting. But since he doesn't have a history of paying somebody $30 million a year, and they're gonna do that, they've never done that. So now maybe he takes a hometown discount because he's from that area, Middletown.
Interesting. You know, by the way, I remember like 15, 20 years ago, I was like, what the hell is a bandbox? You know, and I looked it up. That's like an old timer term, isn't it? What did you guys do with bandboxes? Was that in your era or does that predate you?
No, I think that's a media hype thing that started. It probably started in the 60s and 70s.
But I think a bandbox, was like a box and you put figurines inside the box.
Oh, you're talking about the origin of the word.
Yes.
You're the dude that got the smartphone.
Yeah?
Look it up.
But you say you know everything.
I do know everything. I know as it relates to baseball.
Okay, we're kind of indirectly there.
All right, move on.
Let's go to Richard. Fans Forum. If you were to look up the word dumpster fire, the Angels team logo would be next to the definition. With all of their issues, in a great market and drafting high every year, an ultimate shit show.
Yeah, it just has not worked out. You know, they had the 1 year where they drafted all 21 of their picks were pitchers, and hardly any of them got to the major leagues, and a few that got to major leagues got hurt. It's just a disaster. Now, they've been the most active so far, shopping at aisle 1 at Dollar General. I mean, they go into the marketplace and they get Grayson Rodriguez, and then then they make the second deal to sign this guy from the Blue Jays who started his career, was really good, Alek Manoah, and then he got hurt. Now, if he can be what he was for a year and a half, wow, now they're going to be 5 deep in their starting rotation. But historically, they've handed out some of the worst free agent contracts in modern baseball with a whole bunch of different general managers. It's not the same guy doing it, because Arte Moreno's just moved a lot of people in and out of his operation, and Moreno has always been kind of a hands-on owner who's kind of got his fingerprints on all this. But the Anthony Rendon contract might be as bad, if not worse, than the Josh Hamilton contract. For different reasons. Hamilton had such problems with drugs. Rendon just can't stay healthy, and they're going to buy him out.
Well, Rendon is the classic example of just a horrible contract.
Yep.
But yeah, you could go back. You can maybe question the Trout contract just simply because he's been hurt so much. But you could even roll the clock back to like Mo Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a dumpster fire of a contract there.
He got hurt the first day he played.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just all over the place. I mean, from Justin Upton and some of the other guys that they brought in, just a bad stretch. So, and it's odd. Rendon was a hell of a player in Washington, and he became a free agent because the national ownership just agreed we're just not going to sign anybody. And then Rendon had no history of injury with the Washington Nationals. He was like a 278 hitter with pop and grinded and played every day. He came here and just got hurt. It's just dark. So we'll see what the Angels do. They say they have money. I was told they had $51 million budget space coming to the offseason, so they spent some of it on Rodriguez. They got Manoah on a 1-year deal, so there'll probably be some more of those transactions coming forward. I don't know a big name that's going to go to Anaheim, even though it's a great stadium, it's a great market. Who wants to go there based on their track record? Until they get really good, then maybe they'll be able to lure marquee free agents back.
One of our Hacksaw insiders, John Hopkins, he's a DC guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he was saying that Anthony Rendon is still warmly received in DC. I guess they called him Tony Two Bags.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Big doubles hitter and occasional pop.
So it'd be nice if the Angels could somehow flip him, or are they walking away from the contract, or they were thinking of walking away?
I think they're negotiating a buyout. Is Rendon going to take all 38 mil? He's already gone home. He's never came back after he got hurt.
Well, when he got into that argument in the stands with the fans
on opening
training,
day,
I mean, that immediately soured me. I mean, it was one thing that he kept getting hurt all the time. Now I said, maybe not a good character.
Yep. Well, maybe fed up with the whole thing because he could just never get healthy. And that's what's weird, because he was a leader and he produced when he was with the Nationals, and he got to free agency and he got his payday, came out here, it's supposed to be a cornerstone, and just boom. It's amazing. Like, he's missed 700 games. He's played 200, I don't know the number I had last week, 225 games. He's missed 715 games in his career in Anaheim.
Well, at one time they had on the same roster Pujols, Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon.
Mm-hmm. And Pujols was on the far side of the moon going down.
Yeah.
Ohtani was going up. Trout was great till he got hurt, and then he kept getting hurt, and Rendon was never healthy. And they were making max money.
Poor Artie Moreno.
Yeah. Tough decisions, bad decisions.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, let's go here to Carlos. Hey, gents, should the Lakers try to trade with the Bucks for Giannis? What would a trade package look like? Probably Austin Reeves, Hachimura, Vanderbilt, and 2 number 1 picks.
I just don't. Well, first of all, Lakers don't have many number ones to use as any type of currency. Everything I've heard is if there's going to be a transaction and Giannis asks out, and he just got hurt the other night, or maybe last night, he's going to be gone 4 to 5 weeks again with a calf. Everything I hear is he only wants to go to the New York Knicks. And so the Knicks have a real collection of players, but the salary cap implications, it's very complicated to make a trade in the NBA right now. Aside, you could put a lot of number 1 picks into the draft, but the reality is you got to make all the dollars work. And his contract is so huge. I just don't know how anybody's gonna be able to take him on. And I don't know if Milwaukee wants to move him either. They're not having a good season in Milwaukee, and it's not the same franchise right now. They have met. Front office has met with him, I think, in the last 3 days, just to talk about where they are and what his feelings are. He has not demanded a trade yet.
That's interesting. The whole thing with him. First of all, it's always interesting that whenever there's a marquee guy, everyone assumes he's going to go to the Lakers, right? Mm-hmm. And the Laker fans think they can get any big name that they please. So, but with Giannis, which is interesting, is have you ever seen the video clip of him taking questions from reporters, and the reporters were saying, you lost in the playoffs. Do you consider this a failed season? And then he responded by saying, hey man, it's not a failure. If you work as a reporter and you don't get a promotion, does that mean you failed? It was a very interesting take. I mean, have you seen that piece?
No, I didn't see that clip. No,
he's a smart guy.
Oh, I think he's a very classy guy.
Very, so it's sometimes Giannis comes off as a little bit whiny, but other times he comes off as like, the smartest guy in the room.
Well, the only way trade gets done is if he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks front office and says, I want to invoke my no trade clause, and this is who I'll accept the deal to. I keep hearing the Knickerbockers are the only team he'd be willing to go to.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, let's go here to Peck. He says, hey, gents, how is Mike Norvell still at Florida State when he hasn't won a league game in 2 years? There have been coaches fired for less. This from a longtime Seminole fan.
Seminole fan, I think it's all because of the buyout. Florida State just does not want to swallow. It's a huge amount of money to let Norvell go. A year from now, it'll be less money, and if he doesn't win next year, then. But he's gone through a lot of different coordinators, et cetera. He keeps making changes, but nothing has worked there. Florida State is just not what they used to be. Bobby Bowden must be spinning in his grave over what's happened to the Seminoles. But I think more than anything else, it's the massive buyout is the reason that Florida State did not do it this year.
Interesting. Yeah, they've been down for a while. I mean, I went to the Rose Bowl game when Florida State played Oregon. Jameis Winston against Marcus Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hell of a game.
Yes.
But they haven't really been good since then, have they?
No,
I mean, that's probably the last time they were really good.
They've really been down. Florida's down. I mean, think about that. I mean, there was at one point that triangle, FSU, Florida, Miami. Wow. But they've all gone through some really bad times. Miami's come back thanks to Cristobal, their head coach, who I think is a great recruiter. He used to be at Oregon. I think Mario Cristobal's a really great talent in terms of X's, O's, and obviously recruiting from a very rich state to get players out of. But so they got to fix Florida State, but it can be fixed.
It can be fixed.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go here to Gary. talk some Chargers. He goes, Dean Spanos found out what happens when you turn your back on a half century of loyal fans who were there through thick and thin, even with the new fancy stadium that was going to be the cure-all. There are always more visiting fans at SoFi. Herbert has got to go for the silent count at home.
It's a problem. It really is. But, when they played here, a lot of Steeler fans showed up. A lot of Eagle fans showed up. I mean, there was a lot of color of the other team here when they play at Qualcomm Stadium. But at the end of the day, they're on the periphery of interest in the market. And the market's very much consumed with teams. I mean, it is a Laker market. It is a Dodger market. And then there's a secondary interest. And now USC, if they become a national power, is going to move right up that ladder in terms of interest. And the Chargers, to me, are just on the periphery of interest. And they haven't won a playoff game yet. And they've got a great quarterback, really good quarterback. And I mean, you go back and think, I was writing a note on my website about the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Breeze, Rivers.
Yeah.
Are finalists. Gates is already in. Tomlinson's already. Think about that. The Chargers never went to a Super Bowl with what they may have 3 guys now from one team in the Hall of Fame, and they never went to a Super Bowl.
Well, I think Lorenzo Neal was on one of the preliminary ballots.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he could have maybe been in the mix too. Yeah, what a blown opportunity.
Yeah.
And then you fire a coach after they went 14-2.
And they fired the Super Bowl coach prior to that, and they fired the Super Bowl general manager.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But Team Spanos, first family football.
Well, I remember when they were playing in the soccer stadium in Carson.
Right.
And then when the Steelers came to town, I mean, it was like they said, it was like an away game.
Yeah.
The Chargers they played away games every week.
Yeah. Well, in more recent years, when they played Pittsburgh and played the Raiders, we played the Packers at SoFi, it was like a road game.
Yeah.
For the Bolts, it was a home game for the Steelers and the Packers and the Eagles.
Yeah, those teams, their fan bases travel. Okay, let's go here to HB949. He goes, hey, hello, Lee and John. Who are your favorite all-time NFL quarterbacks?
Oh, wow. That's a hard question. I mean, there've been so many great quarterbacks. I loved Peyton Manning's IQ. I love the daring of all things Elway at the height of his career. I guess I love the competitive fire of Stabler, the left-hander. I don't know, I love to see Marino throw the football because you knew that sucker was coming out so quick. So just off the top of my head, but there have been so many great quarterbacks. I mean, how can you not have Tom Brady in that conversation because he was such a student of the game? So it's kind of tough call. Good question, but tough call.
I'm surprised you don't go back to like Y.A. Tittle or some of those guys.
I could go back, but those are different eras. I mean, the Norm Van Brocklin era in the 50s. I mean, I was very, very young at that point, but he was one of the first that threw the hell out of the ball. He had 554-yard passing day in the 1950s for the LA Rams.
Wow.
Chicago Cardinals. So it's tough to go way back. And there were so many quarterbacks cut from a different cloth that played the game. But this is more modern day guys.
Yeah, for me growing up, the first one was Ken Stabler, because just that era in the 70s and the Raiders and those playoff games against the Steelers. I mean, it was just a magical time. And even to this day, when you see footage of those old Raiders teams, Stabler, the silhouette of Stabler looks different than Steve Young or any of the other lefties. And then, of course, Joe Montana.
Exactly.
Which he completely turned around the 49ers. I mean, because when I started following the Niners in the mid-70s, they had given up the farm to get Jim Plunkett and O.J. Simpson, and they were terrible. And then they had Steve DeBerg out there as the quarterback for a while. And then finally they got Montana, and then everything changed.
Yep.
And so Montana to this day is like worshipped in San Francisco. I mean, he is like a saint. He's like Bobby Knight in Indiana. He's just beloved. So to me, those are the two guys. But, Manning was always an interesting dude. I mean, I remember when Brady first got on the scene, you didn't know who the hell he was, because who was the guy that got hurt
Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Brady
Bledsoe.
replaced him.
Yeah. And everyone was like Brady Bunch, making goofy names about him. And then he was like winning. And you're like, hey, this guy's pretty good. And then he started winning a lot, and people started kind of getting down on him. And then people started saying he could be the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. And I'm like, no way. No one could be better than Joe Montana. Then Brady kept winning and kept getting more Super Bowls, and now he is the greatest of all time.
Got 6 rings.
Yeah, Montana's is on Mount Rushmore, but he's no longer number one.
Yeah. Real interesting question. But the eras are so different. It's impossible to compare the eras of the 70s to where we are in the 2000s right now. It's just a really different game. Good question. Thanks in the 949, Jeff.
Okay, here's a Clipper comment. This is from Retro. Hey, the Clippers did Chris Paul dirty. And if what I'm hearing is true, Ty Lue got to go. His ego, along with Frank, has turned the Clippers into a lottery team.
Well, Lue didn't talk to Chris Paul, I was told, for more than 3 weeks. He didn't play him. Let him sit on the bench for 4 straight games, never played him, which is that's kind of a horrible way to treat an icon and a legend. But the question is, can he play any longer? And evidently what he said just offended so many people in that locker room that they couldn't go farther. But their problems are more than Chris Paul. They're so deep in terms of not having athletes. Their metrics are terrible in the league and defensively. So it's going to turn into just be a disaster.
The Clippers, that's another cursed franchise.
Oh, you think?
If you think.
And we had such great hopes for Steve Ballmer.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he tried 3 different times. He tried to put collectively great teams on the floor to get to the NBA Western Conference Finals playoff aspirations. And they failed 3 times. And boy, what they got on the floor right now just is terrible.
Kind of makes you wonder, though, if, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in the clubhouse, because what Chris Paul said obviously ruffled feathers. But the question is, was he telling the truth or not? Because if he was telling the truth and he was bagging on guys that needed to be bagged on, well, they probably don't want to hear that, right? Especially for a guy that's going to be retiring at the end of the year.
Yeah, but then when you denigrate the coach and you denigrate the general manager who put the roster together, I mean, you're torching everybody. You're torching all your relationships.
That's a burnt bridge, right?
Oh, yes, very much.
Well,
so.
We'll see Chris Paul maybe on the State Farm commercials again. Then.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. We're going to go to social media, get some of our social media friends involved. And we're talking about the Raiders, about the Silver and Bleak. This is from Cali native. Hey, good job, Raiders. Keep up the good work.
I don't know how they fix it. I mean, I just do not know how they fix it. When your composite record is 130 wins and 238 losses right now today, that's your composite record since 2002. And the only constant is Mark Davis. Raider fans need to bring signs to that stadium, sell the team. This is the Raider Nation should be more vocal, but I don't know what they're going to do. Pete Carroll he's not a quitter. I don't think he's one and done here, but boy, they got a lot of work because their roster is very, very deficient.
Now, when they had John Gruden as the coach,
mm-hmm.
I think we had hope for the Raiders.
Well, he won with somebody else's players. His drafts were not very good. He drafted a lot of trouble guys.
Well, did he draft him or was he the GM too?
Well, he had a lot of input.
Okay.
So he won with other guys, just like he won in Tampa with Tony Dungy's players.
Mm-hmm.
So they got rid of him, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah, but you think about the other coaches like Josh McDaniels. I mean, he's still having a great career as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, as a head coach, he was a very good offensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, Antonio Pierce was sort of like kind of out of nowhere. They plugged him in.
Guy.
Yeah. And then who else were some of the coaches they've had?
They've gone through so many. I can't recall them off the top of my head.
Yeah, so it's like Mark Davis is trying, just not making good choices. But I think now that they have got Tom Brady in there, I think there's going to be a little more wisdom in the room, don't you think?
You would think so, but the end result, or any of their draft picks doing anything? Now, it's not Genty's fault. He's got nobody blocking for him. And long road back. Once you get this sucker down, it is so hard to rebuild in the NFL because it takes lots of players. It's not like the NBA.
And you got to get them all synchronized on a timing perspective so they all peak at the same time in their career. So it ain't easy.
Yeah. Long road back. That's all I can say about the Raiders. But I have no hope, no faith at all in Mark Davis, because all he is the owner of the son who gave him the franchise. And look, now all the shots he's called, look at where they are.
Yeah, but he's not going to sell. I mean, that's for him. That's his celebrity moment.
Yeah.
You know, if he's not an NFL owner, he's not having dates with the hot chicks.
Yeah, but any other city, they'd be losing their mind wanting that owner out. They haven't lost their mind in Vegas. I don't quite understand that.
Still a honeymoon period, I think.
Yeah, I don't understand the rationale of Raider fan, but it's not the honeymoon period. It's just not Las Vegas fans, because they got all these fans from Oakland who are left out in the street corner that go to the games. It's just a disaster.
Raider Nation's loyal to a fault.
Okay,
let's talk some UCLA. And this is with West Coast Dude. He goes, if UCLA had strong teams, the fans would return in droves. UCLA actually leads the Pac-12 in attendance in 2014 with 76,500 average per game. SoFi would be a complete disaster for fans who attend the games. Sterile, pro-environment, horrible neighborhood, tailgating on asphalt and concrete. The Rose Bowl is a tailgating paradise.
Win and they will come. Proven product, Rose Bowl, Pasadena. Now, are there economic problems? Yes. To me, the most simplistic thing is UCLA goes back and sits with Pasadena and the Rose Bowl and tries to restructure the deal, tries to get a break, tries to get something that's more affordable, tries to get something that's giving another increase in revenue streams. I don't know where in their mind history and legacy should come in, but to me, history and legacy is really important about what UCLA has been for decades upon decades. So that counts a lot, but they're really suffering right now. But they're going to announce, I assume it's going to be Monday, Bob Chesney. He's coming from James Madison, and that guy has won everywhere he's been. 1AA, 2, and 3. He's taken small programs and made them good. He took a 1AA program and made it a Division I program. So he knows football. But I don't know how they're going to get out of the lease. They can't buy their way out. I was told that UCLA would have to pay $80 million to get. Where's that money going to come from? Their athletic department's $216 million in the red. Now they're going to start cashing checks from the Pac or the Big Ten TV contract that's going to help knock that deficit down. But is there a place to build? You're going to build on the Drake Stadium site to be close to campus, but who's going to pay for the stadium? The state system, UCLA. That's a big puzzle to put together. So, according to what West Coast Dude says, you freaking win, the fans will come back, and I firmly agree with that. Now that they do have to restructure, I think that the contract at the Rose Bowl.
I was saying earlier that my son and I went to the Rose Bowl for that Oregon-Florida State game. And I had never been to the Rose Bowl before. And that was part of the fun. We went to the Rose Parade as well that same day, which was cool. But my point is that it is a tailgating paradise.
Oh, yes.
I mean, because it's like
on the golf course.
It's all this green grass. And it's like, it's not like a gritty asphalt concrete parking lot. And it really made it feel almost luxurious for some of these setups that they had for tailgating. I couldn't believe it.
I agree. And I don't think there's any way they're going to, don't think this thing's going to go to court, this lawsuit. How would they win? How would they win the lawsuit? I don't think that's possible.
Contract's a contract, right?
Is your signature on that contract?
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm sorry, you're stuck with me doing this podcast. You signed off on it. Okay, dude, good to have you on board.
Okay, let's talk some Lakers here with Scott. He goes, hey, Drew Timme is better than Bronny.
Yeah. And he gives them some real grit. They really need something down low coming off the bench. Their bench is not productive really at all. Now, Hachimura is a starter, but boy, you look down the bench and you say, okay, where are my points and where are my rebounds going to come on a consistent basis, not an occasional flash game. So, but they got stars. My goodness. I mean, now they got 4 guys that have the potential, if they play together, 4 guys that really look good. LeBron hasn't looked like LeBron yet. Maybe he's got the thing in third gear because of this injury. He doesn't want to, but that's not LeBron yet. LeBron's got to kick that thing into gear where he's going to the hole and he's leading fast breaks. We haven't seen much of that yet.
Well, LeBron showed up just recently, right?
Not LeBron. No, LeBron just came off the
Yeah.
injury list. Yes.
But I know that I was seeing some people talking about chemistry challenges
Mhm.
now that he's back. But I've also been seeing a lot of Laker players really going out of their way to praise Austin Reeves,
Mhm.
and that dude is legit.
Well, he's very productive this year, and he's in a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's grown into the job. He's a really good NBA player.
But how are they going to play Timmy? Is he like he's not going to back up Ayton, or is he more of a 4 or a 3?
No, I think might be first forward off the bench. He's not going to play in the paint. Not at 6'8".
Right.
But if you got a gritty, grimy 6'8" guy at forward who does play some defense and goes and gets some boards and get out on the winning and run, and that's what he is. He was productive with the Brooklyn Nets. I think he averaged 12 points a game there, averaged 28 in the G League, but the G League is not playing superstars. So there's a role. We'll see when they get him into the rotation what that role is.
Isn't it interesting how, and I believe Drew Timme was the National Collegiate Player of the Year,
Mhm.
or if he wasn't, he was darn close to winning it. And how you could be at the top level in college, but not really be a factor in the pros.
When you're 6'8",
Yeah.
you play bigger than 6'8" at Gonzaga,
Mm-hmm.
but 6'8" here, you're dwarfed by the athleticism of all the other bigs in the league.
Interesting.
Got to find your role.
Mhm.
His role is go get loose balls and get some rebounds and hit some short jumpers and things like that.
It's like a utility man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Let's, we got a few more minutes here. This is back a few months ago when you were wearing that Dodger hoodie.
Oh,
This is from Caddy Jack. Hey, look at Saw wearing Dodger blue. Another San Diego sellout, just like Rome, Kaplan, and Kyle, whatever his name is.
at the end of the day, scoreboard, baby, the Dodgers have won again. So I was saluting Dave Roberts. I like the reason I got the jerseys. My kid bought it for me because I love the logo. I'm big old time. I love old time logos. That's the Dodger. It's a Brooklyn Dodger logo that I was wearing, and I have an affinity of respect for Dave Roberts. And I think they're a great organization. I mean, I had a bunch of interviews with Peter O'Malley, obviously Vin Scully. So I've interacted with the Dodgers to a fair degree. So I have a lot of respect when you win as much as they've done and they're not doing anything wrong. I think it's a good organization. I guess the guy, he doesn't. Caddy Jack didn't want me to wear the Dodger jersey hoodie
Well,
again.
it's true that Rome and Kaplan did go up to LA. I don't know who the heck Kyle, whatever his name is,
Mhm.
but to me, you wearing a Dodger jersey, I give you a pass because you went to Ebbets Field as a kid,
Yes.
and Brooklyn Dodgers were sort of kind of your home team, right?
Yep.
So yeah. So I just don't like bandwagon fans, that like put on the Dodger jersey just because the Dodgers are winning.
I wear it because it's the Brooklyn Dodger logo. I kind of love that ball and the stripes
Yeah.
logo. And I wear it because of the salute to Dave Roberts.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. Hey, let's, I want to get another comment here from the live stream from Music to My Ears. And thanks for the donation. Hey, Lee, do you regret getting that Raider Nation Forever tattoo? Did you just ask fans to overthrow the ownership?
Well, I did not get a tattoo because dude does not like needles. I can't stand needles. But at the end of the day, are Raider fans ever going to get fed up with the quality of the product on the field? Raider fans need to bring signs, say, sell the damn team. You can't sit there and tell me this is a good product. You can't tell me the future is going to be good. You can't accept what we've had in the past. I mean, what's the rationale of Raider fans supporting their team? Somebody jump on board and fans form this podcast or next podcast and just tell me what you think. Why are you supporting this? Why is there not an insurrection?
It's because of the brand. It's the tough guy, working class, Joe, six-pack, lunch pail, East Bay, and then you've got the whole Darth Vader, tough guy, motorcycle gang guys. It's the mystique. Al Davis, say what you will about him, but he knew the kind of buzzwords to put out there. The vertical game, the mystique, the silver and black, the commitment to excellence. I mean, people gravitate to that.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but that's an effective brand. If you can hang on to that base, even while your team goes like 2-15 every year, that's incredible. I mean, it really is.
Raider fans, how can you support this product? What Mark Davis has given you? jump on board.
Okay. All right, let's go here and talk a little college football. And this is from AM. He goes, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, longtime listener, circa 1989. And you've always been objective and fair to SoCal sports teams, both San Diego and LA. Unfortunately, new era, NIL, schools, and UC Cal State will need to inject money, and with a caveat. It's revenue and expenses. You make money. We continue to support or show us a plan to stay in the black. Otherwise, this pseudo pro league not going to be interesting, and can't blame the fans for lack of support, as we now have 2 NFL teams in Los Angeles.
I think at the end of the day, the big money, I call them big cigars, have to step forward because it's their alma mater. They have to fund the NIL properly. You know, the Men of Westwood, which is the one that was started. And then they've had all the problems with coaches from Chip Kelly through Deshaun Foster. They've got to get the right coach. They got to start winning. The big boys have to step up to keep UCLA on the same financial plane as to what's going on at USC, what's going on in Oregon, what's going on over there in the entire Big Ten Conference. But these guys have to be donors, and the donors have to come front and center. And UCLA's got to put a better product on the field.
Remember when NIL was first announced, and it was because like Ed O'Bannon from UCLA
won the lawsuit.
Yeah, because they were using his name, image, and likeness in the video game.
Right.
So when NIL first came on, it was supposed to be a way they can make money. And we thought, hey, maybe like the local yogurt shop was going to sponsor a player. But it's turned into this thing, Big Cigar. It's basically made all this illegal money legal.
Yeah. It's all up front and center now, whereas before, it's some of the conferences that used to be under the table. Now it's front and center. The quarterback has a representative, aka like an agent, and he is demanding this, and my son, my client will sign for this. Otherwise, he's going over there to your opponent in the conference. It's such a different time. I don't like it, but it's where we are right now.
Yeah, I'm glad the athletes are making money, because there's so much money going around in college football, and they're buying out, Brian Kelly for $70 million or whatever it is. I don't know if that's the right number, but they're buying him out for tens of millions of dollars. And before, the players weren't getting jack except, a scholarship.
Right.
So this is good that they're getting paid, but we're the haves and have-nots. It's not just the Power Four against the Group of Five. It's even within the Power Four, there are haves and have-nots
up here, and then there's the rest of the conference.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Ohio State, it's Alabama, and we could probably name 3 or 4 other programs. I mean, I imagine Penn State is one of those, right?
Right. End of the day, you got to win. But I think the big picture is more and more coaches are of the opinion college football is broken and it has to be changed. They're trying to change it with the new commission. They're trying to change it with NIL money and the aftermath of the lawsuit and the funds that are going into all the schools. They're changing the transfer portal so it won't be the Wild West. But as much fun as it is to talk about Indiana, Ohio State that comes up on Saturday morning, the reality is college football is broken and they have to solve it. And the conferences have to come together for the good of the game rather than just the good of the conferences and the universities that are in that conference making all the money. Does it make sense?
It does. So you gotta fix college sports. You got to fix PGA, LIV. You got to fix NASCAR.
WNBA.
There's a lot of fixing that needs to get done.
I agree. Listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We are here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Please sample my website. I write on it every day of the week, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Invite you to tell your friends what we do on this podcast, that Hacksaw is back. Want you to join me on social media. Want you to subscribe, be part of the insiders group so you can get the newsletters. Just subscribe on my website. We cover it all. John, you have yourself a great sports weekend. Enjoy college football Saturday, big game Saturday. Enjoy all the things in the NFL on Sunday and Monday. And we'll be back here Monday afternoon to talk all about it. And the winter baseball meetings are starting.
Go Hoosiers. That's where my heart is this weekend.
Thank you for being with us. Brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Go to DIXIELINE.com to find out all they have to offer. You have yourself a great sports weekend on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.